You're all set, Margaret.
Okay, so today we are having an electronic meeting. We haven't had one of these in a while, so I have to go through our little checklist. As chair of the Board of Selectmen, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the pandemic, and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 24, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are A, providing public access to the meeting with abilities by video or other electronic means. We are utilizing YouTube and Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following phone, 603-236-4730, or by clicking on the following website address, www.watervillevalley.org, or by texting 603-254-6708 by using the chat on Zoom. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the meeting using Zoom or telephonically. Instructions have also been provided on the website of the town. That's at www.watervillevalley.org. And we are providing a mechanism for to alert the public body during the meeting if there are any problems with access. So if you have a problem with access, please call 603-236-4730 or email townofwv@watervillevalley.org. And we will adjourn the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. And this is Margaret Turner, Chair of the Board of Select Persons, and I am alone in my home.
This is Rich Rita. I am the Vice Chair of the Select Board, and I am also alone.
Mike Aronson, alone.
Okay. So this meeting is called to order. Our first act, I believe, is privilege of the floor, and I believe that we asked Jan to be here today. Is that right, Mark?
That's correct.
Uh-huh.
Mark, can you share the screen?
Yep. Hold on just a moment. I am doing so.
Jan, can you unmute yourself? Jan?
He's trying.
Okay.
I am unmuted.
You
Well,
are unmuted.
Thank you, Jan. If you will read along with me, I have the distinct privilege of making this proclamation. The town of Waterville Valley, New Hampshire, on December 16th, 2020. To all who see these, greetings. Whereas Jan Peralt Stern has served the community of Waterville Valley in an immeasurable number of ways for more than 40 years, and whereas Jan has served in a variety of business positions to include General Manager of the Snowy Owl Inn, Vice President and Marketing Director of the Waterville Company, Inc., and most recently, Welcome and Sales Center Director for the Waterville Ski Resort. And whereas Jan has assisted with virtually every development and business activity in the past 40 years while serving as an administrative assistant to Tom Corcoran on the Waterville Valley Company. And whereas Jan has always displayed the very definition of service and dedication to others in the performance of her duties and responsibilities by considering the community and the people of Waterville Valley first and foremost. And whereas Jan's service to the residents, property owners, and guests of Waterville Valleys is in keeping with the finest traditions of service to the community in New Hampshire. Now, therefore, the undersigned Waterville Valley Board of Selectmen proclaim December 16th, 2020 as Jan Peralt Stearns Day in Waterville Valley and wish Jan the best in her future endeavors. Signed this day of December in the year of our Lord, 2020, by the Board of Selectmen.
Oh,
Congratulations, Jan. Well deserved.
Congratulations, Dan.
Congratulations, Dan.
What a
Congratulations,
surprise,
Dan.
thank you. I thought I was in trouble. I figured the police would come after me, not the selectmen.
Thank you, Jan, for everything that you've done for our community. Really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Very, very
And
much
enjoy the new grandbaby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, I've appreciated, enjoyed working with, knowing all of you, and I'm still gonna be around, but it's gonna be really hard to not be around in a way where I can know everything that's going on. And exert some of my own attempts at trying to run things.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
being
you,
here.
Dan.
Gosh, I wish my dad was alive to see that. He always wanted more from me.
Well, Jan, if he was here, we would have made it a week.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, everybody.
Thank you, Jan, and happy Jan Stearns Day.
Yeah.
God.
Happy Jan Stearns Day.
Hey, did you know it's Jan Stearns Day? I'm going to town square now and let everyone know.
Right, we gotta get to town crier to go announce it in town square.
That's right.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you,
Dan.
Thanks, Jan.
Mark, I don't see it on the agenda, but do we have any COVID-19 update for today?
That'll be during the department head update from Chris and Dave. if that's
Okay.
all right.
All right. Any other privilege of the floor? Linda, Matt? Not Tom?
Thank you guys for honoring Jan. I really appreciate that.
She's definitely deserves it, that's for sure. Okay, well, let's go then to the approval of minutes from the November 12th, 2020.
Margaret, I think Tom was trying to speak.
Tom is muted.
There you go.
Am I muted now?
No,
you're fine.
okay.
So,
Go ahead, Tom.
yes, this is Tom Myrick, and I would like to make a suggestion, ask a question. With the many real estate transactions we've had this year, it's an unusual number. Would this be an appropriate year to seek a complete reevaluation?
Mark,
Thoughts, comments?
Mark, I think you had a discussion with our assessor today about this subject related to everyone.
Yes, Tom, we have been reviewing the ratio study, which is something we do annually, right, based on the sales. And having gone through that with the assessor, their recommendation at this point in time that we wait through 2021 to see what the fallout is post-COVID, right, with the institution of the vaccine and everything else, to make sure that this isn't just a one-year change in the market. In doing the analysis of sales right now, it looks like we're going to be around 95, 92, 95%, somewhere in that range for ratio. And that is still within the state limits because the state gives us 10% plus or minus on our ratio study. So because we're still within the limits and because they want to see if this is a one-year phenomenon, they've recommended that we wait to make a a decision about a reval until 2022.
Understood. So Mark, as I've been looking through the records lately, I found a few, and I'll privately bring them to your attention.
Okay,
So,
yeah,
a few minor things that need to be fixed.
sure. All right.
Okay,
Thanks, Tom.
thank you.
Anybody else for privilege of the floor? All right, we'll go on to our minutes. I only saw a couple of typos, and I don't have my copy in front of me, so.
Yeah, I didn't see anything substantive on any of these.
No, I just have, no, very quickly on 1124, just quick info, a rundown real quick. Line 34, governor's apostrophe S. I think we only have one governor.
Yes.
Or is he king? I'm not sure which one. Or is Lord Protector or something? I'm not sure which. Line 67, change R, A-R-E to is. Is.
Yes, I caught that one too.
Line 79, you have an extra is in there. Is now, is. I think just remove one of the is's.
Okay.
And 138, I think just remove the second will, W-I-L-L. I think you have two wills in there. And that was it.
Okay, anything on the 12th? November 12th?
Yeah, I had a few things, but go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Margaret.
I saw one thing in there, and again, I don't have my copy up because we're in our meeting. So I think it was like line 67, if I remember correctly. Let me see if I can get it up. I had it up. Okay.
You want me to put it up on the screen?
No, that's okay. Line 73, there's something that, says, it should say to the homeowners association.
Over to the Moose Run HOA.
Yeah, yes, thank you. Yep, that's it.
I had, again, just a handful, very, very quickly. Line 44, there's the word in caps, insert. I think, did you mean to take that out? Is that refer to 44, 45, where you're gonna insert the draft letter?
That was to insert the draft letter right
Okay.
there.
That's all the question I had there. Line 89, I'm just confused what you were trying to say. We say are unchanged and. I think we can get away with the three departments that are tracking ahead are legal, planning, and wastewater. I'm not sure what the unchanged, what you were trying to capture there.
I think that they've been continuously ahead, tracking ahead throughout the year.
Right, that's the idea that I was.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. It just, I thought that may have been it, but it was just a little.
I'll reword that for clarity to that extent.
93, I would just change 7/1 to 7/01, just to maintain the same process or the same wording throughout. 101, remove the apostrophe on seasons. 102, what do I have? R on the, okay, yeah, remove R on the. What did I mean with that? Did I say 102? Is that making sense?
No, it is making sense that restrictions are increasing, or increasing is likely.
Are increasing,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Are on the increase, yeah, just something like that. And 108, I believe reinstate is, you don't need the hyphen. And that is our collective grammar lesson for today. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, can I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended for November 12th and our November 24th regular meetings?
This is Mike. I'll make that motion.
This is Rich. I will second that motion.
Everyone in favor? Margaret, aye.
Rich, I.
Mike, aye.
Okay. Financial reports, Mark.
Yep. This is our current, oops, did I share it?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Hold on. Always forget to push that button. There you go. So here it is. We are 96% through the year. Departments are tracking well. If you put in the balances remaining for water, sewer, and solid waste, we are within $5,000 of our balance year to date. And we are tracking very well with things like motor vehicle registrations. So I don't foresee any problem making or exceeding our projected budget for revenues. On the expenditure side, we have a few departments that are over, but most of the departments are tracking well within their and so you see right now we have a balance left of $304,593 on the budget side of the end of year fund balance return. So we're doing very well with this. Department heads are doing a great job. Any questions on any of the lines?
None from me.
I'm good.
It's all in line with what we've been looking at.
Yes.
Okay. Department head reports.
Who wants to go first? Chris?
Sure. So as far as the COVID update, there's no major changes in our community. We're still at a pretty high positivity. The good news is we dropped from number 7 in the country as far as positivities to number 12. So it seems like there's no major changes there. Now is on the other side of this. We're still testing our personnel weekly here at the station, and so far so good. And we're expected to have our vaccines by the end of next week, the week after at the latest. And along with that, we do have 5 staff members that are qualified to be vaccinators. So some of us down at the pod giving the vaccines. So, there's light at the end of the tunnel with this, and that, hopefully things will go smoothly. Getting real positive reports from the state as far as the vaccine program. Lots of good feedback from what they've already done, and their plan looks really good. So that's the COVID update. In the department, that's kind of what we've been focusing on lately is getting this under control and working on all these projects. I don't know if Dave has anything he wants to add.
No, not really. I think you're pretty much just keeping an eye. Everything seems to be going smooth in town as far as like the ski area traffic, that sort of thing. Pretty manageable now. But other than that, everything's pretty status quo at this point.
Chris, do you want to speak to the off-site solicitation permit application?
Yeah, so we received our second application for a food truck. First was Tartaglia's. The other one is, I forget the name of his business. It's the food truck gentleman that's down in Campton, Sharon knows his name.
It's the second
Full circuit,
full circle.
full circle food
Yeah.
truck.
Tim Scanlon.
He's the gentleman that was parked down by Dunkin' Donuts,
Yeah.
for most of the summer.
He's done the
So he-
Sunset Grill. It's Tim
Yes.
Scanlon.
That's who it is, yes. Thank you. He's applied, to bring his food truck up to run it, the same as Cat is doing. I don't have a problem with that. From what I hear, Cat has been doing pretty well there. The only thing that's lacking in this permit is what we should discuss, maybe not today, but at a later date, is permit fees. We don't have any set fees or a fee schedule for these. As far as the overhead for us, it's not a lot. And as far as for the town, they're running off of private electricity. The only thing that they may be doing is disposing of some wastewater, gray water from their trucks. I don't believe that's a huge impact, but I do believe there should be some kind of fee because of the inspections that we have to do, and so on. But there's a lot of moving parts with fees, as far as some people want to come up just for a day, some people want to come up for a season. So that should be discussed at some point. But lack of collecting fees on these two trucks hasn't broke the bank, so to speak.
Chris, do you have any recommendation about?
I'm kind of looking at what other towns do. Some towns have a fee schedule where there's a per day rate, and then there's a, like a seasonal rate or a monthly rate or a 2-week rate. So
What do those generally run?
Some are, I think the general, average is about $50 for a single permit, for like a weekend. And then seasonals are like $150. So it's somewhere in that general range.
And if somebody you might want to consider, if somebody comes up for a weekend to try it out and they decide to turn it seasonal, we'll give them credit for what they've already given.
Yeah.
Can I bring up a gray area on that?
Yeah.
What if they're on on private property that is already permitted for food service?
You're right, it's a great area.
Yeah, no, that's something, I can understand a permit being needed, if Town Square, the parking lot, or outside in the Black Bear lot or something like that. But are we gonna run into an issue? Hopefully not, with someone saying, well, no, I'm already permitted to serve food here.
No.
Is the permit issued to the space or the entity, the food service permit?
The entity, I believe.
Okay, then that could answer the question.
So I see a lot of these charge. It's really not even towns. It's organizations like Sandwich Fair charges space, but we can't charge for the space of private private land. So I think we can quantify our costs as far as the permit review, the inspection that we do, which is pretty minimal, and any impact they have on the infrastructure as far as wastewater or whatever. That's the only, like I say, I don't believe it should be a substantial fee at all.
Okay, so if someone was to open a new restaurant in an existing space, you would have to go inspect it, correct?
Correct.
So that answers that question, that it is a new facility, new restaurant on the same space, but even though it's permitted for a restaurant, it still has to be inspected. And that validates our point for charging a fee.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay.
And allowing it, presumably.
Correct. So
Right.
the permit process just makes, it's our checklist to make sure they have a state license, a business license, a food service license, and that all of the life safety and fire safety things are adhered to in their truck.
And it fits the zoning, right? You can't have a food truck in somebody's backyard.
Right, I guess.
It's
Yeah,
very
that's-
slow on that
yeah.
answer.
Yeah, I was thinking of how someone would get around that.
Yeah, that,
Oh, could you, if they weren't selling the food, if someone wanted to have a party? Because I know Kat does parties with her wagon all the time.
Yeah, a private catered party, I
Yeah.
don't think would need one.
Only when
But-
selling to the public.
Right, I guess that would be the threshold, is if if the public can walk up and buy food, then that's the threshold.
Okay. All right, anybody have any concerns about this? We've been asking about getting food trucks up here for some time, so I think it's good that we have a couple of people who are interested.
Yeah, and I feel we're lucky to be dealing with locals too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there should be a vote, Margaret, to grant the permit as applied for. Okay, that way Chris is on, we can issue the actual permit because of the vote.
Okay, I will move that we approve the permits as applied for.
I will second that motion.
Okay, all those in favor, Margaret, aye.
Rich, I.
Mike, aye.
Okay. All right. Who are we on to next?
Sorry,
Who are we on to next, Mark?
next is Brooke.
Sure. So the updates that I have are that we are continuing to do our to-go kits of our candy cottages and also our bear factory, and that's going really well. And they're gearing up to do the candy cottages with the school. We're actually doing all grades. And so that's kind of on our plate now. And tomorrow we're doing our Santa calls. So we're getting some help with that from our PD. So thank you. And that's all I really have to report.
Okay,
All right, Jim?
Well, we started the month off. We had forecast of 2 inches of rain. We ended up getting 4 inches. We thought we had the requisite amount of stop logs out of the dam, but the flash boards did activate, so we had to fix those. Things have been, the Parco valve at well 2 has had a service maintenance on it, some parts replaced. It seems to be in fine working order. We're presently waiting on some chemical feed pumps to be delivered so that we can get well 2 back online. Other than, the skirts for the lights on the trail are at the electricians, and we're just trying to get them. I don't know if the snowstorm will mess things up, but the idea was to have them up by Friday. Hopefully we can make that happen. The electrician has to come out and install them. And then I'm sure you're all aware that we had a water main break at the intersection of Tecumseh and Valley Road, which we were able to fix. It was probably the most difficult one since I've been here. Top of pipe was around 9 feet. It's an 8-inch pipe, so it was a deep, deep hole. And it was hampered by the main power. There's a bank of about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, there's 9 4-inch conduits that bring the power into town that run through there, plus the telephone and TV. So it
Jim,
was
what caused it?
hard to tell.
No, yeah, there's no apparent cause, Mike. That's one of the things. No
Just
rocks
failure?
and no frost and anything like that. So really, it's the pipe showing its age.
Do we have a lot more of those laying around, or we don't know?
Well, I'll tell you, Mike, we've got a lot of pipe in town that is aged, and hopefully they'll be few and far between. Other than that, there's no real way to inspect them. So, yeah, this one, thankfully, we were able to get it, and hats off to Ellie Johnston for doing a great job and sticking with it and not pulling the plug for the night and coming back in the morning. So they stayed right at it. We got right on it. And other than that, unless you have any questions, I can't think of much else.
Okay.
Well, can we talk about the $6,000 culvert repair? It's one of the last pages in the packet. This was a result of Mountain Village South doing their redoing their parking lot. We needed to address the culvert. There's a pretty long culvert. What is it, 23 feet or more?
That culvert there was pushing 90 feet.
90 feet, right. While they had it dug up to redo the paving, Jim wanted the culvert replaced so that we wouldn't have to go back in and cut the pavement once they had done the repaving. So that $6,000, we would need a vote from the board to take that out of the road repair account. And I need the vote because the trustees of the trust fund have to do an official transfer of those funds from the capital reserve into the operating account. And so I'm asking that the board do that vote.
Okay, I move that that we take $6,000 from the road repair account, which was used to repair the culverts at Mountain
Village South.
Mountain Village South, and move it to the operating account. Can I have a second?
Yeah, this is Rich. I will second that.
Okay, all those in favor, Margaret, aye.
Rich, I.
Mike, aye.
Thank you.
Just a little quick background on that. Were these culverts identified as in need of replacement or in danger of not doing, working properly, that sort of thing?
This one was, Rich. It's been deteriorating for quite some time. It's an old metal culvert, and
Rusted.
it was prone to plugging and it was rotting out. And that Mountain Village South had talked to me a year or more ago about redoing their parking lot, and so I thought that would be a good time.
Sure.
So.
Sure. I'm sorry, Mark. Do we have this sort of repair on our capital improvement plan? Replacing culverts?
Yes, the drainage will be integrated into the road.
When we do the whole plan?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, so going forward from here on out, we'll have these culverts
Correct.
covered, quote unquote.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The culverts that are within our right of ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course. All right. Thanks.
Okay. And Dylan, anything else that you'd like to bring up? You're muted.
Frozen.
Frozen and muted. Still muted,
But unfrozen.
but unfrozen.
How's that?
There you go.
Hey. All right.
All right. To update you guys on the flows, we're up about 10% on the wastewater side from 2019. We're up only about 5% from 2018. On the water side, we're up 15% from 2019. We're up 8% from 2018. On top of kind of piggybacking what Jim said about that rain that we had, that added about 700,000 gallons to the lagoons. We had that 4 inches of rain. So we ran around the clock for a few days to try to get that back down because it almost brought the lagoons to maximum capacity based on just on that rainfall on top of some of the infiltration that came in throughout town. But other than that, I don't have really any updates for you guys.
Okay, good, thank you. All right, moving on, schedule, Margaret? You're muted.
Okay, town meeting scheduling. I read through that document a few times. That's kind of daunting.
Yes.
The one question I had is, when they're talking about these 2 meetings that you have before you have the actual voting, is that in addition to our normal public meeting?
No, it would take the place of our hearings.
Okay, so the informational session could be our public hearing
That's correct.
on the budget, right?
Yes.
And do we still have the same restriction in terms of having to have that meeting a certain amount of time before voting actually occurs?
Well, it depends on what we want to include in the annual report. If you want to have the budget and the warrant and everything included, then yes, we would need to probably start those hearings, sooner rather than later, because there is a 7-day minimum between the two, right? And then you have to do a mailing after the second one where you finalize the warrant. So in order to get all of that work done and also to include it in the town report, I would say that we'd have to back up at a minimum of a week or more in our schedule for the public hearings. And that's only if you want to hold just 2 hearings, because something else in communicating all of this information to the town, we would want to decide whether or not we wanted to do 3 or 4 informational meetings, or however we structure the public notice part of this.
And Mark, is there a requirement that after your second meeting in which you finalize the warrant and you do this mailing to all the registered voters,
right,
is there a date by which you must have voting? I know they suggest on there that March 9th is the date we should use, but is it, can you go later than that? Can you go earlier than that? What's the story on that?
You can, I don't believe you can go earlier than that. You can probably continue it afterwards, hold it afterwards within a week or 2. I don't know the exact answer, the precise answer to that, but I know you can't do it earlier.
Okay.
And we are going to have to do the official ballot portion on March 9th. That requirement did not get changed by the new law.
The official ballot now being not only the things we normally vote on, but all the rest of the warrant articles as well.
No, there's 2 parts now. There's the official ballot, which will be the election ordinance changes. And then there will be a separate written ballot for each of the warrant articles. And like Walter Mitchell said to you this afternoon, the very first question on that second ballot has to be, do you approve of this form of town meeting?
That's a poison pill.
And if the majority of people say no to that, everything on the warrant is dead. And the only thing that we can go back and do is a town meeting before September 1st for an operating budget only. There will be no special projects that hit in the year. So there would be no bonded articles and there would be nothing.
This is a poison pill to my mind in some respects, or can be. Is there, this has not been established by the state as a procedure we must follow. Is that correct?
Yes, this is they have established through this that you either hold town meeting
Right,
in person
right,
on March 9th,
right.
following the governor's guidance for
And all that stuff, right.
all of that, right? Use this alternative method.
And that requires a decision on the part of the select board,
That's correct.
and the school board will have to make the same determination for their meeting.
That's correct. So one thing that I would like to explore, if it's okay with the board, is that, because my personal opinion is the same as Rich's, that this has the potential to be very bad for us, given the fact that we have to do something on some of our projects. We're under time constraints in many ways. Okay.
Mark, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
In any of the discussions that you've heard, is there any kind of alternative to what we're calling the poison pill as to a reconvene sometime within 30 days?
That's right. Okay, so if you decide to go with the alternative method and use the written ballot and the drive-up voting, then if the answer to that very first question is no, there is no alternative. You can't reconvene the meeting.
But do you think there might be one where people I think what Rich has brought up is very valid, and I think a lot of people are going to see it the same way Rich sees it. So my thought is that if Rich's perception is brought up, do you think they will try to formulate another method of dealing with this by maybe an ability to reconvene within a short period of time once things are safe?
But that already exists within state law. So one alternative that I would like to ask town council about is, can we go through the normal process just like we do every year, convene town meeting on March 9th, hold the elections, right, which we have to do anyway, and then
What we were going to do the other time,
call
Call
the
it and
deliberative
adjourn it.
session, call the deliberative session together, and then can postpone it to a date and time certain,
yeah,
okay? Which can be in April or May or whatever.
right.
And then we could have an outdoor meeting if the weather's better, or maybe by that time there's been a change to the gathering regulations or whatever it is. But that way we can at least have the in-person discussion and vote. And that way we're not changing anything. All that would do would be to postpone for a few weeks or a month or whatever the start of some of our bigger projects, right? Because we wouldn't get final approval of them until later in the year. And I don't think that the postponement has to be very long, but just get us into even the beginning of April where the weather's a little bit better, so that if we wanted to have an outdoor meeting, we could.
Yeah, this is what we were thinking about with the blizzard that year, where we would,
Right.
until the governor called them all up, we were thinking that we would let people know we're going to go have 7 or 8 people get there to
Right.
open the meeting and adjourn it to another time.
That's right. And I think, if town council doesn't have a problem with that, I think that's much better than going down this written ballot vote, just from the fact that we could lose everything in a
Right.
single.
All the bond articles, yeah.
You're muted, Margaret. Sorry. You're muted. Still.
It's because I have a dog who's doing squeaky toys.
Stop blaming it on the dog.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say is, we know that we can handle an in-person election. We've done it several times already under COVID, and our people are very good about doing that. So I have a lot of confidence that we could get through that part of the procedure, and I like the idea of then delaying to a later time.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me see how the bond bank feels about the bond issue side, right? They're meeting with bond counsel on Monday, and then we can set up a discussion with town council to make sure there's no pitfalls. I don't think that needs to be a very long meeting, but we should make sure with them that they're comfortable that we're doing what we should be doing. And then we can meet with the school board and let them know.
Yeah, good idea.
Okay, good.
Yep.
All right,
Squeaks agrees.
Squeaks agrees.
Yeah.
I think that's a good path forward. That's actually a very good path forward.
Okay, we'll try.
I like it a lot better than all of these meetings and gathering up of the comments that people have and reading them and.
Yeah, you
All that
guys,
stuff.
that would be a nightmare for you doing the amendments to the warrant articles and.
Right.
And we have enough open space up here where we could probably get a tent and do this on Packard's Field in April or May. Or even set it up in a parking lot
Yes,
if we were concerned.
yes,
Right.
I think that's right, Mike.
Yeah, and you can get space heaters if you need space heaters.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now that we're permitting food trucks, what's not to like?
We could have food trucks there. It'd be great.
Yeah.
All right,
All right.
we'll continue on that way. So,
Okay. Mark, you wanted to go over the town office holiday schedule?
yeah, I just wanted to highlight that the post office is going to be closing early on the 24th. And then they'll reopen on December 26th. And we're planning on closing town hall on December 24th and coming back on the, what is it, 25, 26, 27. So the 28th.
28th.
Yeah, coming back on the 28th. Okay, as far as your next regular meeting, it's scheduled for the 30th. The planning board is scheduled for Thursday, January 14th for their next regular meeting at 8 a.m. And they have a special meeting on Wednesday, the 13th at 6 p.m. to conduct their second public hearing on the zoning amendments.
Yes. One beating wasn't enough for us. We want a second beating.
And maybe they'll have a third or fourth.
Rich, I was not in attendance at this meeting. I apologize, but can you kind of summarize what went on at the meeting?
Is this a family broadcast?
Yes, it is.
Well, actually, I'm trying to put something to paper that I'll send to you, Margaret and Mike as well, trying to summarize the planning board's thinking, but there is we're trying to deal with the hole in our zoning ordinance with regard to rentals. The zoning ordinance would seem to prohibit any rental, but it's somewhat ambiguous, and therefore there could be legal and perhaps other complications downstream. So it's one of the things we had on our list of things to fix. And so we presented some thoughts of where we were going. And I would say overall, Mike has his ear to the town ground better than I on this, but it didn't go over particularly well because it was rather complicated, I think is the main issue. And people misunderstood what we were trying. And we're still working on it. I'm not giving you any specifics because we really haven't grappled with exactly where we want to go with this as a planning board. But I think the sympathy on the board is to close this loophole and do it in a way that minimizes the impact of people who are renting now. We're not trying to shut down rentals. That was a misunderstanding. We're not trying to be the rental police, by forcing people to register and only rent a certain amount of days, that sort of thing. So, I don't know. That's very general. Mike, you were in attendance.
Yeah, I think simplification is going to be the key. I think
Yeah,
there was an
I agree.
impression, due to the complexity of what was presented, there was a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of people got their backs up really too quickly.
Right.
And continued to keep their backs up. So I think a simplified plan that's well thought up and once again simplified, will make it more palatable to people to achieve what they want.
That's kind of what I've been working through in my head and putting some thoughts on paper how to do that myself. So I think that is the key. Again, we're not trying to stop people from renting their, a room out in their house like they do now, or things like this, or rent their condominium. But some of what we said was misunderstood.
Yeah. I think we're going to let it be known that the condominiums have the autonomy to do what they want, and every year the basic guidelines can rent in the valley. But if you live in a condominium, that would supersede your ability. You have to go by your condominium guidelines.
Yeah, no, and we were certainly on that latter point. We weren't trying to change that whatsoever.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. When's the next meeting again? The next public hearing, Rich?
The 13th at 6 p.m. I believe it's Wednesday, January 13th at 6 p.m.
January 13th.
Yep. And then
Like a not miss opportunity.
Yeah, well, we'll see. And on the 14th, I think, is when we're going to decide as a planning board at our 8 o'clock meeting what we want to move forward with, if anything, because now we're basically running out of runway in terms of getting it as a warrant article for the upcoming meeting.
Okay. Okay.
And,
Yeah, Mark.
can I suggest that we move down to 8A and B so Linda can do her discussions with you about
Absolutely. All right.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Linda.
Hi. So first is the window replacement quote. So we had last spoke that we wanted to get our quotes in order. You tentatively said, go ahead. We have that $10,000 in the budget to get the windows, some of the windows replaced on the upper level of Town Hall where people are working, so it's not breezy and snowy in there. And I believe you have those quotes in your packet.
Yeah.
And did you have any questions about them? We'd like to move forward with it and get the orders, get it approved, get the order in. Sometimes because of the manufacturing and shipping these days, it's been taking a number of weeks to get products in. So we'd like to try to get it approved, ordered, shipped, and installed.
May I ask a question? Actually, this may be more for Mark. Is he there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, sorry, Mark. Is my understanding that the state does not require us to proceed on low bidder principle correct?
That's correct.
Does the town have any ordinance to that regard that we must go with low bidder necessarily? Okay.
No, you are allowed to accept any and all bids that you deem in the best interest of the town.
Okay, thank you.
But the one that we're recommending, it just happens to be the low bid.
The low bid, right. Well, that was, I should have followed up with my comment whether that was the main reason why you recommended it.
Well, it's not only that, they did the
Right.
window that has
Right.
been replaced here as the test bed, and it works really well. So we're very happy with their solution. And also, if you look at the specs, the largest glass area is the millwork window. So we're getting the most window for the dollars, if you will. And they're very close to the existing amount of glass that we have here. Just a more modern, more energy efficient window.
Okay.
So your recommendation was based on the quality of work and how well it's gone, as opposed to it being just a low bid?
Just a low bid, right.
Okay, thank
We're
you.
just happy that they are the low bid.
Yes, okay.
Yep. So what would you like Linda to do?
I guess I would move that, we go ahead with, give me the name of the contractor again, because I don't have it in front of me.
Millwork Masters.
Millbrook Masters, with their, bid for replacement of the windows, and the upper level of, Town Hall. Can I have a second on that?
I'll second, Mike.
Okay, all those in favor, Margaret, aye.
Rich, aye?
Mike,
Doesn't know.
can you
You
say
seconded
aye?
it, Mike.
Aye.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Okay,
There are a couple other things. I'll try to be quick. Regarding the request for qualifications that we had talked about, we sent over 20 envelopes, one for prospective applicants garnered from, Clean Energy New Hampshire and Granite State Clean Energy, looking for an energy advisor. We had one return response. It was from Amoresco. I'm sure you may be familiar with Amoresco. They presented as interested in understanding what we were looking for. We know that Jack Sanders, a longtime resident of Waterville Valley, helped us make the initial contact. But before we move forward, they gave us a nice presentation, but before we move forward with negotiations, we wanted to touch base with the Board of Selectmen to see how they feel about that. Because we had one response, and the one response, and then it was from Amoresco.
And remember, Linda, this is only a request for qualifications, just
Right.
like we did with the engineering firms the last time. So basically, the Renewable Energy Committee would talk to Amoresco. They would come up with a work plan for 2021, and then ask Amoresco for a cost for that, and then bring that back to you for inclusion in the budget. So no commitments would be made if they talk to Amoresco as far as signing the town up to expend any money. This is just, but because we only received one response to the RFQ, before they took time and spent a lot of time discussing things with Amoresco, do you even want them to do that?
but what kind of things, Linda, again, the New Hampshire Electric Co-op does energy audits for free, do they not?
They look at electrical. This is more of a bigger scope of the whole town, where we can look at where's the best place for solar? Where can we improve not only electrical, but what about water? How can we work the generator in and get it, done with energy efficiency? Just look at the big picture of the town.
Okay, what about Parade? Where they
Well,
want
they don't do municipalities anymore because they were such big projects.
Okay, I got
What's
you.
the approximate cost of this project?
We don't.
What a ballpark, is it a $5,000, is it a 20, is it a 30?
Honestly, Mike, because we have no idea what we're trying to consider. Some of them could be huge projects. Some of them could be very minor, like these windows and redoing light fixtures. I mean, we've done a whole gamut of discussion things already. And we can break those down and have the committee do one project at a time, but but the idea was to get an energy advisor to tell us where the best money would
And
be.
how much does the energy advisor cost us?
Well, until we talk to Amoresco, I don't know.
Yeah, well, let's come back when we find out what the energy advisor is gonna cost
Okay,
us.
go forward. Great, thank you.
Okay,
All right, and I just have one more tidbit. This is, well, actually two more tidbits. We did put in the lighting rebate application, and it turns out the town hall is pretty energy efficient. The lighting upgrades would have only resulted in 120 kilowatt a year savings, so it didn't really make sense to go forward with it. The other good point is the electric vehicle charging station at Windsor Hill is up and running. Cars have used it to charge.
Great.
And yes, and there's a couple other condominium associations in the valley that have already contacted me to find out how we did it and to see if they can do it. So you may be seeing more of them.
Great.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Linda.
thank you, Linda. Can I just note Marilyn is on board?
I see that. She missed our discussion of town meeting.
Did you catch any of it, Marilyn? Okay, you're muted.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm on slow time down here in Florida. So I just read Mark's email, and so I thought I'd jump on and see if the meeting was still going and if you wanted me to say anything, or had you come to any conclusion?
Marilyn, I think what we're gonna try and do, if town council tells us we can do it, is have our regular voting take place on March the 9th. But then call the deliberate session and adjourn it until later in the year when we can do an outside meeting.
Yeah, I like that idea. I wasn't sure if that would screw up the budgeting process. You're talking about something in May, maybe?
Yeah.
But
Okay.
if we have started town meeting, Marilyn, and we can adjourn it to a date and time certain, I think we get away from many budget problems. So the only thing we would be waiting on would be our capital expenditures.
Okay. So what kind of, when do you think it would be warm enough to meet outside? Are you thinking like Packard's Field?
Yeah, Packard's Field or a parking lot, a large parking lot or something like that. So maybe mid-April and on.
Okay. Well, I read through the 29 a few times, and also have been talking sort of through the listserv with other moderators about it, and it doesn't seem that difficult to do it the other way with the two virtual meetings and then have a drive-through voting. So, I'm open to either.
There are some pitfalls with the alternate form, which we need to minimize the exposure to not being able to do any capital projects at all if that form of the meeting is voted down. Because the first question is going to be, do you agree with holding the meeting this way?
Right. I think that's extremely unlikely, but whatever. We can talk about it tomorrow, Mark, if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
All right.
Thanks, Marilyn.
Thanks, Marilyn.
Let's go back. Water sewer fee schedule.
Yep, so Dylan is here, and I gave you the first outline of a tiered system, which in looking at the way other communities do it, there is in many, and if you looked at the 2018 rate report from the state, they kind of outlined fee schedules in other communities and what they do. And if you noticed in there, there's many communities, I think it was about 85 or so of them, have a fixed rate, which is for the capital costs of the system, right? and then they have a use rate on top of that. So the tiered system that I wrote up and included in your packets would be kind of a hybrid of that, in that we would maintain our flat rate fee schedule the way that we have it right now. And I know Dylan wants to mention a couple of things about that for your consideration, but the idea would be to maintain this flat rate, and then after a certain amount of usage, there would be a usage fee for every 1,000 gallons over that. Okay? That does a couple. Yep, go ahead, Margaret.
Yeah, Mark, when you say maintain the flat rate fee, you mean whatever it is that we're paying right now, everybody continues to pay that?
Yes.
And also escalated 5% a year.
And escalating it, and there's a reason for that. And Dylan, do you want to address your thought on that flat rate and what it is in comparison to other towns?
Right. So in that pamphlet or document Mark sent out to you guys, it talks about how majority of towns have a base charge, and then they have a volumetric charge on top of that. Sorry, I thought I was muted for a second.
Nope, you're good.
So basically, what I did actually was I went through and I pulled some towns that are somewhat similar to Waterville. The one that's the closest actually in terms of population, median household income, and service connections is the town of Newcastle. Again, I know it's not a resort town, but just looking at how it's structured, they have a population of 800 people. The median household income is 114,000, and their water monthly, based on 10,000 gallons, we were looking at 9,000 gallons. They're looking at $98 per 10,000 gallons. What me and Mark had been looking at, Mark, what was the number that you came up with for a monthly fee?
Our usual quarterly fee is about 100 to 120 for the smaller condo units. So that's 40, anywhere from $30 to $40 a month for ours, where Newcastle's is, you said 80?
98.40. Yeah.
So we're significantly under a similar community.
Oh, that study, that New Hampshire study shows
Right.
how much lower we are
Right.
compared to state averages. It was really eye-opening.
Yeah, so the whole thing here is the 5% would be really a minimum increase that we would recommend to you. If not, instituting an increase that gets us a little, even half of where Newcastle is, or we can do other similar. Right now, our rate is about half of Plymouth's rate on a per gallon basis. So we're significantly lower than these.
Well, here's the thing about the flat rate, though. The flat rate right now is supposedly based on how many faucets, bathrooms, all of that kind of thing that we have.
Right.
And I don't know that we should continue with that. If we want to say a flat rate, why don't we just say flat rate for?
Well, because there is a difference between a one-bedroom Windsor Hill in the potential for use of water between that and a 5-bedroom single-family home with 4 bathrooms, right? So the flat rate structure that we have right now is measuring the potential to use water.
Can I ask Jim a question? Back to when we put the meters in, or maybe Mark knows the answer. Am I right in assuming that some of these condo complexes, the meter is for the building, not the individual units?
That's correct.
Where you have like High Country, where I know there's a meter in each unit.
Right.
But I would assume maybe in, say, Mad River, there aren't as many, or the Tappan.
Mad River has.
So that's kind of why we have to stay to the flat rate to some degree, because every unit is not metered.
That's right, and the use have to write the usage to be prorated for multi-unit buildings. So we would actually measure the use within a building.
Right, but then you would have the fight between the person who's there all the time and has four kids taking baths every night and the person who hasn't been up in 2 years.
I know, but I really think when you look at this use number that we're.
Oh, no, I agree with you on the use number. I'm on board with that. But I just wanted to ask Dylan a question. Is there any place I can look up with how much water a washing machine uses, how much water an average shower is, things like that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and a lot of the time it will have that, you know, each washing machine is different, high efficiency versus not high efficiency. But if I remember correctly, I think it's like 60 gallons, anywhere between 50 and 60 gallons for a washing machine, load of laundry. It's not high efficiency.
And that's per one load or a month?
That's per one load. Yeah.
And how many gallons for an average shower?
For teenagers or for what?
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to figure that once a week, you know.
So I mean, the way the EPA kind of quantifies it is 80 to 120 gallons per day per person. So however you want to spin that, you know, if you want to go the low end or the high end, you can, you know, come up with that number.
So if you have 100 gallons per day per person in a 2-person household times 30 days is 6,000 gallons. That's where they're coming up with it. And we're at 9, so that seems reasonable.
Right.
So, no, let me ask another question. We have so many more properties that are individually metered right now. Why don't we charge for those properties that have the individual meters? Why don't we charge based on water usage?
Because if that were the only basis, the fees that we would have to charge would be exorbitant, and the people who lived here full time, their bills would be off the charts. Because if you do it based on only usage, the people who aren't here are not paying.
What kind of additional cost is it going to be to read these meters?
None. We read them every month right now.
But somebody's got to put, you know, the information together and bill it. Is that going to?
Well, we
do that, Mike.
We do that already.
But we're doing it just on commercial. Are we doing it on residential as well?
Yeah,
we do it on everybody.
We're reading.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that. I thought we just had the meters to get the funding.
No, remember we have radio read meters, and we have to read every meter in town within a couple hours or less.
So we could actually, if this came to a vote or to a discussion on this, people could actually look up their historic use.
Yes.
That would be very interesting to see.
Yep, we have historical records of that.
For myself, I like the idea going forward of a combination of a flat rate and this volumetric measurement. You could make a flat rate such that I guess it would have to be higher, but then you'd end up with, people will be use charge for those people who aren't here all the time, because the flat rate, plus you can have impact fees, you can have a hookup fee. I mean, there are other things you can throw into the mix. So it'll be a matter of trying a sweet spot, right, between how high do you want to go on the base rate so you always have enough, and we're going to need a lot of money going forward, given the state, our capital, our plants. We're going to need a lot of money going forward, and then to get into the usage rate for those people who are using water. I mean, it's going to be the trick, finding that spot that keeps the most people happy most of the time, which is the best that any government body can do. Can't hear you, Margaret.
It's the squeaker. I just have a problem. We put all of these meters in to individually meter properties. We can individually meter a lot of properties right now. Why wouldn't we switch those people over to some kind of base rate for infrastructure and so much for, you get 9,000 a month?
That's
And
what we're
that-
talking about.
Yeah,
That's what the proposal is.
That's what we're requiring, that's what we're, proposing to do.
no, what you said to me is that we're gonna keep the flat rate exactly as we have it right now.
No, that is the base, the flat rate fee that we charge right now will become the base rate, and then that will pay for the 9,000 gallons a month. And then anything over that on a quarterly basis, right, the 27,000 gallons, they use 28 or 30,000 gallons, they would get charged for that 2,000 or 3,000 extra gallons.
And what if they only use 10?
Then they get charged the flat fee.
No, they get charged for one because they get 9 free and the one costs them.
No, it's still gonna be on a quarterly basis, Mike, because we can't go from 4 bills a year to 12 bills a year.
Oh, okay, so I've got you, so it's on a quarter.
Yeah,
But let me
so-
ask you one other question before we start the matrix to do this.
Yeah.
And before we consider, Margaret, I see one of your points too. Before we consider keeping the flat rate, why don't we take our base and how many units we have and how many fixtures and whatever it is, and
Yeah.
spread that over the basic cost of producing water. So we eliminate our deficit on the basic use, and then the money that comes in over goes towards future and everything else we're gonna need.
Okay,
So bring the rate up to cover the water department and everything else spread out across.
okay,
As opposed to, because if we come up with a base rate here, we're still gonna be in a negative potentially if people aren't using a lot of water. But
right,
if we come in first and eliminate the deficit, and then create the rest, and then go up 5% a year to start adding money towards what we're gonna need to do in the future.
right. And the reason that I initially said the 5%, remember that sheet that I showed you about how much we've used in tax dollars?
Right.
If you remember, we've used an average of $45,000 a year, right? Over 2005. So that's really the negative that we have to make up with the change in the base rate.
Yep.
Okay?
That's just for operating expenses, though,
And
right?
Exactly.
No, that included everything. That included
All
all
of
the
the costs.
capital costs and everything
For that year,
for all of those years.
all of those years. Okay.
2005 to the current.
But we're not talking about massive capital costs, future capital costs, like,
Oh, yeah, right. And then we can figure that in, Mike.
Yeah.
But really what we're first trying to make up is the 45,000. Then we'll have the projection from the engineers.
Correct.
The construction and operation costs going forward. And we can adjust the base rate to cover that and then have the overage be for unforeseen or future improvements.
Now, is this both for water and sewage?
Yeah, well, I think everything, I think the way we do it now is we measure the water use and we base all billing on that water use. And we
I see.
charge sewer fees at 130% of the water.
Water use is keep with the system we have now.
That's right. That's the way I would do it.
I would just like to add to that whenever we do whatever route we choose for the future of the, a facility here in town, there most likely will be a shock factor to the actual billing on the sewer side. Because right now we charge 130% of the water billing. I couldn't tell you what the operation budget will be of a new facility, but it could very well double that over the water billing. So I just want to throw that out there for you guys to think about.
Okay, let's see if I'm, I'm gonna make sure I wasn't muted. I'd be interested in seeing what the impact is, some examples. I think you said you were gonna do that of, making this change.
Yeah, we're coming up, we're actually gonna select like 20 or 25 parcels. And they're gonna be spread out, single family homes, condos, everything else. And we'll have examples because we have the actual water usage for those units. So we'll be able to tell.
Yeah, I think this is great work, Mark. I think it's going to help us a lot going forward of what we probably should be doing. I mean, I like the idea of everybody sharing in paying for the cost of the plant and its operation, because we wouldn't have it at all. Even if you're only up here one time a year, you wouldn't have it if we didn't have that sort of community buy-in. And then let over a certain amount be sort of a user fee.
Right, exactly. And I think we should also, we can see the difference in uses on a month-by-month basis. And that's going to tell us a lot, like which parcels are maybe irrigating, or
My lawn's going to stay real brown, Mark. I can tell you that right now.
well, I'm just saying that, you know, we have the records now because we have several years of use.
Right.
And we've been measuring month by month. And so we can take into consideration irrigation, and maybe the extra use during the summer months has a different rate within our rate structure, taking into account irrigation.
Right.
Or so we can also encourage conservation at the same time.
Sort of at the high season or the high usage season.
Exactly.
You encourage conservation by having a higher cost on the usage. Plus, in all of this, can we have some sort of I don't know if it's the right term, kick out. You know, if people are struggling financially, obviously we're not going to turn off their water and shut down their sewage.
Right. So in the city of Rochester, when I was there, their ordinance had an appeals board written in. So you could appoint people, and we actually had hearings on I think it was a quarterly basis, where people could submit an appeal of their water sewer bills. You know, people have a leak or something like that, and when you look at their history, it's very flat, and then all of a sudden there's a huge spike. So they could appeal that and get some abatement. It was the same thing as a property tax.
I just have to prove they weren't renting then, that's all. It all comes around, right?
That too, yeah.
No, I think that's good. I think that's good. I like this plan a lot. Need to see more, obviously, but I'm for going forward with further.
Okay, we'll keep developing this, and Dylan and Brad and I will work through it for you.
Thank you.
Good? All right.
Thank you. All righty. Anything on the arena, Mark?
No, nothing at this point. I did point out in the packet that I do require you take a formal vote, so you're on the record of our discussion prior on the rental deferment that was proposed, and we can draw up a document.
Yep.
All right, I would like to move that we defer the rental payment due from the ice arena for, what is it, December?
July and December.
The next two periods.
And July to be paid in December of 21.
To be paid in December of 21, or added to the purchase price.
Wait, excuse me, wait a minute. Did they, as I understood it, what they were asking to do was they were asking to pay it off in 12 monthly payments starting in December of 21.
That's
so
correct.
It would be due in 21. It would be added to amortized, or I don't know if they want it amortized
10 years.
or carried over and to be paid back in 12 monthly payments. The arrear is paid back in 12 monthly payments beginning in December of 21.
That's correct.
And all monies not paid if the building is to be sold or to be added to the purchase price. And they do have a thing where if they leave, they walk away without owing us the money.
That's right.
But it would go on to anybody else's purchase price if they assign the lease.
Yep. And we'll summarize that in a proper motion for the minutes.
Okay. Rich, get your pen out.
Everybody remember what you just said.
Yeah.
It's
I don't remember what I just
So
said.
moved with all those amendments. to be formalized later. Can I have a second?
I will second Mike.
Yeah, okay, all those in favor, Margaret, aye.
Rich eye.
Mike, aye.
All right, coalition community update.
Yep, I gave you
Coalition
that.
strikes.
We have continued to meet among the group, and the meetings are going very well. We almost have an intergovernmental agreement draft for you to consider. Brooke, if you want to drop off, do we have anything that we are potentially going to talk about? I don't think there is. So you can drop off if you would like. But you're welcome to stay. So if we're not bothering you, stay away. I just didn't want
I
you to.
think I'll listen to this part, but thank you.
Okay, very good. So the group is very close to having a draft intermunicipal agreement that you guys, I'll forward to you as soon as we have it. As part of that, we have been looking at the numbers of the payments that would need to be made. And it ends up that Waterville Valley, I'm just looking for my page here. We are right now like 21 out of 72. Is that right? Of course, I can't. There it is.
Is that chart?
Yeah, I'm just
I
looking.
think it was 32.
So 32 out of 72. So
32, right.
we are the 32nd highest paying town under the current formula. And that current formula has 72 donor communities. So we are right there between Carroll and Hebron. And
Well, I thought we'd be higher.
Well, it's only because some of the other communities passed us because of their total valuation. As an example, we used to be ahead of, believe it or not, ahead of Lincoln, but they have added so much new value with their new developments. Plus, Butch was telling me they have 2 or 3 other new hotels on the drawing board right now. So they will continue to move up on the list. But wherever you fall on this list, it's an
So
impact on your.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, it's a list you don't want to be on.
No, this is, yeah, it's, yes. And my understanding is Portsmouth, in fact, Portsmouth is having special meetings right now because their number is so high. It's tens of millions of dollars of payment that they will make every year. So this is going to be something that we're going to be fighting for a while. So the intergovernmental agreement is almost done. You'll have that for the next meeting. The number that we have included in the budget is good. So we will be continuing with that process.
So our contribution is not based on our savings or our future liability?
No, our contribution is based on.
No, I mean to the coalition fund.
Oh, to the coalition fund, no, it's not. We have agreed that we're just gonna open it up to the towns with whatever they feel is appropriate. We will provide a budget, what we think the lobbyist is gonna cost and what we think the administration of this is gonna cost. But it is not gonna be tied to any formula.
Okay.
We're just gonna let communities participate.
And finding out which politicians are with us.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And finding out the right lobbyist.
Yes.
Yes.
And we are gonna continue to do. You're muted, Margaret. Squeaky is muted.
She's on timeout.
Well,
Yes. 2021 budget review.
Yep, so you have the updated numbers. Judy and I have gone through and made all of the changes that, do you want me to share that on the screen so people can see it, or how do you want to do it?
Did anybody have any questions or comments?
Just the highlights, Mark.
The highlights are, the bottom line, estimated amount of taxes to raise right now is at 35,205. That is using, what did I tell you? 244,000 in fund balance right now. It's using 284,000 in fund balance to get to that bottom line number that's at the bottom of the proposed budget summary. Right now, I did provide you with a fund balance number estimate in your packet, and so we're gonna end up right now, if everything goes the way it looks like, we're gonna end up around 925,000 in fund balance, which compared to last year, it was 967. So
Yeah.
even using 335 last year and all of the changes with COVID and everything that we made on the revenues, we're still ending up around 925.
Mark, of that 925, is any of that encumbered in any way?
No, that's before encumbrances money.
Okay,
That's-
now what
that's
do we
the-
have with our encumbrances? How much do you think is floating around in the banks with it that's encumbered that we're not looking at here?
Another couple 100,000, because the 925, we arrive at the 925, if you look at the budget expenditure sheets, remember everything below the operating budget, all of the capital amounts here are recommended to be carried over. So,
Right, I'm looking, what line is that number?
there's a 3-page report that looks like this, Mike.
Yeah, no, I've got it, I'm just trying to get to the page, I'm kind of in a darker room.
Yeah, I didn't number them. Do you want me to,
Okay,
you want me to share?
no, I see what you're talking about.
Okay, so that, if you remember, we took a lot of these capital items and we said, we're gonna make a decision at the end of this year and we're gonna put that money into fund balance.
Right,
That 95,000 is without doing that. So,
okay, that's the question I was asking.
yeah.
All right, gotcha.
So that's actually good news because I think we ought to keep those amounts, especially with things like the wastewater treatment plant and the water system upgrades and stuff like that. We should keep those capital accounts that we,
Right, instead of putting them back into fund balance later on after the budget.
and then funding them again, right? That, to me, it doesn't make any sense to do that.
Gotcha.
I really think that the use of the 284,000 helps control the rate in 21, right? I think it's manageable to say that we're only looking at a $30,000 10 or 11 cents on the tax rate increase with everything.
For the town
that we have
portion.
in there.
Right, for the town.
Right. And I think we need to maintain some flexibility by keeping as much in the capital reserves as we can right now so that if we have a major failure in something like the treatment plant or while we're doing these big projects, we can take care of them, right? And it also, if we needed to, we could always take those accounts and put them towards fund balance.
Right, we can
at the end of
revert
next year. Right? when we see how things pan out with the projects. Now, this also does not take into account, the bonding warrant articles. So that would give us additional funding.
Oh, no, I'm aware of that. I'm just trying to get a hold of just actual cash on hand.
Yeah.
And quick question for Dylan. Do our meters measure by gallon or by cubic feet or what?
By gallons.
Gallon. Okay, thanks.
No problem.
Jim, any thoughts or anything I missed mentioning?
No, I think you covered it, Mark.
And what would be the plan for the selectmen? What would be your preference? Do you want to wait until the CIP is fully wrapped up, or do you want to start talking about the operating budget now?
When are you gonna
Right this minute?
Well, no, not right this minute, but be thinking about,
Right.
are we gonna start publishing this and, start talking?
Let's wait for
about
the CIP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
You
my
got
thought.
it. You got a timeline on that, Mark?
Josh McAllister has contacted us and said that he will have his first report on the status of all the roads by the end of December. And Joe Ducharme has said that he will have his cost estimates for the two different wastewater treatment plant options by January 15th, I think, was his time.
Sure.
So it's
A
gonna,
month.
yeah, it's gonna be another 3
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah.
I am pushing Joe. I'm using the alternate town meeting reason and asking him to get it to us quicker. And I know they're working on it, so I think we may even get it the second week of January. Get it a little bit early. So can we let the operating budget kind of sit for right now and concentrate on capital stuff,
I would do that,
the water
So-
sewer rates?
taking two distributions,
Okay,
Or-
all out there at once.
okay. Good, we'll do so.
All right. Allocation of the insurance payment, we received an additional $16,000 as a result of our lightning strike. Is that correct?
That's correct. So we, if you remember, we received an initial payment of 32 and they withheld depreciation until we could show that we had expended that money for the repairs or replacement. And so we sent them the monies that we've spent on well 3 so far, and they released the 16,000.
Okay, so I would like to move that we accept the $16,000 insurance payment and allocate it to the well 3 project.
Okay,
Can I have a second on that?
This is Rich. I will second that motion.
Okay, all those in favor, Margaret, aye.
Rich, aye.
Mike, aye.
Okay,
thank you.
any concerns and directives? Okay, we had some correspondence in our package.
Yes, you have correspondence in your packets. We've taken care of one of them.
You get one from Craig.
Well, actually, I'm glad Brooke is still here. She was at the WVRA meeting and can kind of give you an
Oh, yeah. The lights. The lights.
light.
Yeah, so I don't know if everybody was able to receive the email that Mark forwarded to you, but you were, okay. Well, anyway, basically it was brought up. Wendy was very quick to just remind everybody of the process that needs to take place to do something like that. It looks like a really good plan, but I think everyone is in agreement that it's not going to happen until possibly, next year is the first it would maybe be able to happen after going through the whole process with the town and the planning board and the abutters and whatnot. But I do think that the entire business community is thinking it's a really good idea. And they all, I think, understand that the biggest challenge is going to be getting the residents support with the dark skies, things like that. So
Yeah.
the WVRA did grant them $5,000 to sort of get it going. I mean, it's a lot. They are trying to acquire a lot of this stuff so that it can be an annual event. But it's very expensive, and so they're going to work on sort of getting it set up, and then possibly be eligible if they're able to go through the planning board process successfully to get further funding from the WVRA.
Okay.
The only other thing that we didn't have on the agenda, which I missed putting on, is a request from Leah Elliott to have a discussion with the selectmen about the use of the cottage for a preschool type of child care setup. And would like to know, she wasn't available to be here tonight. And I'm wondering if we could have a workshop discussion with her either tomorrow or on Monday. And what your availability is, because I'd like her to go through what she is proposing to do. It is a town building. I'd like to have Brooke there because it interfaces with stuff that, programming that Brooke has been planning. And definitely, if it goes into the summer in any way, I want to make sure that it's coordinated with our summer camps. So what is your availability either tomorrow or possible?
Either of those days is good for me, Mark.
I'm good anytime tomorrow, Mark, and Monday morning, not good for me.
Yeah, I would need it to be in the afternoon on Monday if.
I can't do any time after 4 o'clock on Monday.
Okay, well, would 1 o'clock be okay
On Monday?
on Monday?
Okay.
I
Tomorrow's,
think I could do that, yeah.
I don't know if I gave you any indication, Mark, but I know that she is very, she tends towards having more availability in the mornings.
Is she?
Yeah.
Well, let me, she said tomorrow anytime and Monday anytime when I talk to her. So let me just find out from her and see if 1 o'clock on Monday works for her.
If you just push it back about a half hour or so, I'll be coming back from Concord. I should make it by 1, but just in case.
1:30?
If that's okay with
Okay.
Mike and Margaret.
Yeah.
I'll try for 1:30. I'll try for 1:30 on Monday, and if not, we'll do it another. But I definitely don't want her moving forward and planning anything for the use of that building without talking to you.
Would you talk to our insurance carrier to see if that becomes an issue?
Well, yes, I will, as soon as we determine who that's gonna be. The other thing that we need to talk about, not today, but at that special meeting that we just talked about, I'll have the final insurance information tomorrow, and I'll share that with you. And we need to make a decision on how we're gonna proceed, either Travelers or Primex.
Okay.
Okay?
Very good.
All right, very good.
All right. Is there any response we need to make to Craig and his email? I wasn't at the meeting, so I don't know. He seemed to be upset about something, but I'm not quite sure I understood what it was.
Well, he was at the WVRA meeting, is that correct, Brooke?
Yes, he was. I mean, this was definitely being presented from Sean Ward at the Snowy Owl. But it would take place on the golf course, and it would be, something that they could collaborate.
This is the letter on the planning board, I think, what Margaret's referring to.
Yeah, that email.
Wendy, Wendy has been talking to him about the planning board, and the last time I spoke with Wendy yesterday, she, I think has him, understanding what the planning board wanted. So I think that Wendy has taken care of the issues that he raised in his email to you. So I don't think there's any response that's necessary at this point.
Yeah.
I think, Margaret, just quickly for your background, I think because I had a long talk with him, I think a number of us have over the last couple of weeks. His main concern / complaint is that he's trying to move as quickly as possible, given we're in with COVID, as a businessman. And he's finding it difficult to do that in order to stay on his feet, so to speak, as a business. And he's finding that difficult to do because of the slow processes that he's faced with regard to the planning board, particular in the town in general. I think that's a fair summary of his position. And those are where his comments are coming from, or that's what they're based on, as I understood him.
Yes.
But some of the things that he's wanted, he has to have had in his mind for months.
Well, that was the rejoinder at the last planning board meeting.
Yeah.
So there's also, I think, a difference that finding that line between a normal enforcement question versus a change of use or something that will require like a minor site plan review, as opposed to just going to Chris and saying, "Hey, is this okay? Can I do this?"
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So.
All right. Well, he's a good businessman and he's done a lot for the town, so we want to make sure he follows the rules, and we want to make sure that we help as much as we can within the law, within the ordinances. So, okay.
Fair enough.
All right. We need to go into non-public, Mark?
Yeah, for one, I need to give you a personnel update.
Hey, Mark?
So, Al.
Yes. Were you gonna bring up the public notice from our neighboring town to the southwest?
Oh, yeah, the trash.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
We don't need no stinking trash.
It's sitting over here, so I don't have to look at it. Yes, so, yeah, you saw my email regarding solid waste?
Yep.
Did.
This has the potential to really affect us. As far as continued use of our facilities by people outside of the town. And if there is no place for people from Campton, Thornton, or Ellsworth to take their trash on Sundays, as I wrote in my email, I think there's two different ways we're going to see this. We're going to see it in an increased amount of trash on the roadsides, especially in the national forest because it's isolated. And part of that is going to be on the national forest, but it's also going to fall on us because we provide the law enforcement services for a lot of the forest time. And then we already have outside use of our facilities, like Jim highlighted to you during the budget. We processed 172 tires.
That's correct.
From this year, which for a town this size is about 10 times more than we should have expected. But that's just one example. It's weekend after weekend we see the use of our facility.
I would like to make a suggestion that we act proactively on this. And we have a very, very, very large sign put up at both entrances to the transfer station saying, this transfer station is for Waterville Valley property owners and their guests only. Your license plates are being recorded by video. If you are found not to be, you will be fined.
And your trash will be given back to you.
But I think we get a big sign up in there, and let's start looking at the videotapes. Let's play back the tape, Bob, and see who we got.
Well, we are doing that. We are looking at the videotape. Now, when we, we will get that sign up, Mike, but are we going to start stopping? Are we going to begin stopping people like employees from dumping their trash here?
Talk about our town employees?
Any employee, because it's employees throughout the valley.
Well, I think no employee shouldn't be dumping their trash here. I think employees, I think we try the sign. If the sign doesn't work, we maybe shift some man hours around for a while and let people know there's someone watching the dump on weekends when the other one is closed. You know, if we have to have someone sit out there in a car and just ask, hey, how are you? Where do you live? Da, 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 da. You know, if we're going to get stuck with this, my biggest concern is not, you know, the amount of tires and all that. Maybe it could become a revenue source. I don't want people having to go into dumpsters to pull out sofas anymore and get hurt.
Right.
You know, and our guys shouldn't have to move somebody from Thornton's sofa down from the shed up until the other place. It's a waste of our man hours and time. But I think we go hard and big on it right now with a big, big sign letting people know. And if we find out that that's not working, maybe we can get volunteer citizens to sit there and ask people where they live. You know, but maybe shift our hourly around and stop it. Because if it does get out of control, you know, can you imagine what it's going to be like on Christmas week on a Sunday?
Yeah, that's exactly our concern.
Yeah, we'll drop our trash off on the way to ski at Waterville.
That's what they're doing now, Mike.
They do now.
Well, we've got to stop it. I don't think employees if someone who works in town, if you work at the Golden Eagle, dump your trash in the Golden Eagle dumpster. If you work in Town Square, dump it in that dumpster, but don't dump it in the dumpsters for the residents. And I'm not concerned that much with trash because there's going to be a little overflow with that. I'm concerned with, like you said, the tires and the big items.
Thoughts, Jim?
No, I agree wholeheartedly. The only bright spot on this public notice from them is the fact that it goes into a very second. So, you know, we get through the holiday.
Okay, I didn't say that part of it.
You know, I think, Mike, I think your solution is a good interim solution, but the actual true solution is going to be a monitored and manned transfer station where set hours and some kind of residential sticker system, what have you. We're probably one of the few towns that doesn't do that. Sure. I think we need to move in that direction if we want to deal with all this extra trash we're getting. And I don't know if that's the answer, but perhaps what we need to have is some sort of, I hate to call it a garbage committee or a trash committee, to look into a permanent solution.
Now, I suggested the sticker a year ago, and I think maybe it's time to do it.
Yeah, I think that would be another step we could take. Yeah, and that would be a deterrent as well. We don't necessarily have to have somebody there, but if you don't see the sticker on the car, or it won't be a sticker because then you have to deal with guests and you're gonna have to
No. What you do is you give a couple of stickers per household, and some people can put the sticker on a plaque they can put in the car and take it to the dump.
Right. Yeah.
Because people have multiple cars.
Right.
But let's start opening those conversations up again.
As I said, perhaps we need a separate committee to start actually working on it, not just having the conversation, but moving forward.
I'm tired of committees.
Well, this is one you can give a certain life to and say we want a solution by such and such a date. How do we fix this? And the date is in February or March.
I think we've walked through this and I think we know how to fix it. I think we've spent enough time with Jim, Mark, you and me and everyone talking about this that we know what we need to do.
All right, well, when are we gonna do it?
Well, we gotta decide whether we're going to do it.
Yeah,
I think one of the biggest problems we have is it may be people that are going skiing that are dropping their trash off, but there are a lot of people who just wait until after dark
mhm.
and then they stop down and
Yeah,
go whatever they got.
And that's part of my concern, Margaret, so we can adjust times for our personnel to be there. We can have people there on Sundays. We can do all of these changes, but as long as that stays an open facility, people are just gonna wait until our guys are gone. And short of putting someone down there 24 hours a day, every day of the year, we're not gonna know when they bring their stuff there.
but that's why you've got the signs and the cameras.
Well,
It's an attempt. The more we attempt and the more we do this, if someone comes up here on, you say we're in the middle of the summer, it's 5 o'clock on a Sunday, they're heading back to Wellesley.
Yeah.
And they're in Thornton or someplace else. They stop at Waterville and all of a sudden they see someone waiting at the dump. They're gonna drive away. They're not gonna dump there. Most people, I think, if they see the sign and they know their license plate's gonna be recorded, are gonna think twice. It turns this into a lockdown place. But to do these things can at least give us a better grip on stuff.
and frankly, I don't have any trouble with a fence that's at a certain time and the word gets out to everybody. Even if you're leaving to go home at 5 o'clock on a Sunday and the place closes at 4, well, bring your trash there at 3.
But we're gonna have people leaving their trash right outside of the fence.
That is a possibility, but that's a good place to put a camera.
Well,
These are all, to my mind, to my way of thinking, and I'm not disagreeing with you, Mike. I'm just saying
yeah, no, I
these
know
are
you're
all
not.
Band-Aids.
Yeah, it's gotta be a Band-Aid unless we wanna take a complete radical solution. Have a dump monitor and lock the dump at times the monitor is not there. Which I think is not cost effective towards, I think it's like shooting the shotgun.
Well, the only thing I can think of that hasn't been brought up is we ought to put electronic locks on the dumpsters. And people would need a code in order to open the dumpster.
But they're gonna leave their stuff next to the dumpster. They do that now and all over town.
Yeah, they may. And the other thing is, you know, in a lot of places in Europe and some places in the United States, you know, they have electronic signs that will actually flash as you go through. And this is, you know, it's right now we have a video camera, but suppose everybody that came through there, they got their picture taken or thought they were getting their picture taken. You know.
You can take the picture. It's all digital now. It's not like you're wasting film or anything, but
Yeah. I mean, I want to have something that actually flashes to show you're on camera.
yeah. But I would say do it. It doesn't have to be, you know.
All right, we'll get a flash gun.
Yeah.
No.
I've had enough trash for today. I think we do need a trash committee or something, but I am concerned about it. And I think Mike's suggestion that a first step is putting up a big sign and telling people they're on camera and we'll be fined. And I've forgotten how much the fine is, but might as well put that on there too.
Let's make it a hefty fine too.
Yeah. I think we did, didn't we?
Yeah.
500? Is it 500?
Illegal dump.
Yeah. Yep.
Or we could get stocks and leave people up there on Sunday night in the stocks so someone coming by can see them.
Yeah, there you go.
Gibbets, my vote is for gibbets.
What is a gibbet, Mark?
Crows eat their eyes.
I don't know what a gibbet is.
It's the big metal cage that hangs with the person.
Oh.
Yeah, that's good. All right, we'll work on that. and talk about it at the next meeting.
Okay. So now are we ready to go into non-public?
We are.
Okay, so at 5:02, we're going to go into non-public.
Dylan, stand by, please. And Jim, if you want to stand by, Brooke. See you later.
Bye.